Why does your life feel like it is collapsing right before something deeper begins? Why are the things that once felt secure suddenly unstable? Why do you feel isolated, different, almost separated from the life you used to recognize? What if the breaking is not destruction, but protection? What if the collapse is not punishment, but preparation? Listen carefully. This video is not by accident. You are not here randomly. This is not coincidence. When God prepares a soul for awakening, He first removes the false sense of safety, the identity built on approval, the stability built on temporary structures, the confidence built on what could be taken away. And when those things begin to fall, you feel exposed. But what if you are not exposed? What if you are being covered? Psalm 91 says, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge." Refuge is not the absence of shaking. It is divine protection in the middle of it. Maybe your life feels like it is unraveling because God is shifting your foundation from what is temporary to what is eternal. Topic 1. Safe. When the collapse is actually protection. When your life begins to fall apart, your nervous system goes into survival mode. You feel exposed, vulnerable, uncertain. You start asking questions that shake your confidence. Why is this happening? Why now? Why me? But what if the collapse is not a threat? What if it is protection? Sometimes God removes what feels secure because it was never truly safe. The job that gave you identity but drained your soul. The relationship that gave you comfort but slowly diminished your calling. The environment that felt stable but kept you spiritually asleep. And when those things begin to fall, you mistake protection for punishment. Psalm 34:19 says, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all." Notice that trouble does not mean abandonment. It means refinement. You are not being destroyed. You are being delivered. You feel like everything is unstable because your foundation is shifting. And foundations shift when God is preparing to build something stronger, something aligned with your divine purpose, something rooted in truth instead of illusion. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." The verse does not say you will avoid the waters. It says you will not drown in them. That means you are safe even in the storm. Right now, you may feel stripped of certainty. You may feel emotionally raw. You may feel like the identity you once had no longer fits. But what you are losing is not your destiny. It is what was blocking it. You were chosen for depth, chosen for awareness, chosen for awakening. And awakening requires truth. Truth about who you are, truth about what no longer serves you, truth about what God is reconstructing in silence. Soul awakening speaks to the ones who feel different because they are being separated for elevation, to the ones who feel isolated because they are being refined, to the souls who sense that something sacred is happening beneath the chaos. You are not falling apart. You are being repositioned. God is working in silence. And if this message is reaching you in the middle of your collapse, pause and engage. Like this video so it reaches another soul who feels unsafe in their breaking. Comment the word "safe" as a declaration that you trust God's protection. Subscribe to Soul Awakening and activate the notification bell so you continue walking this awakening journey with us. This is not random. This is divine alignment. Now breathe. You are not unprotected. You are not abandoned. You are not exposed without covering. You are safe in the hands of God. Topic 2. Surrender. When letting go reveals, You were always safe. There is a point in every spiritual awakening where you realize something uncomfortable. The real pain was not the collapse, it was the resistance. You were trying to hold together what God was gently dismantling. You were trying to preserve an identity that no longer fit your soul. You were fighting to keep stability that was built on fear, not faith. And that fight exhausted you. But surrender is not defeat. It is revelation. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Leaning on your own understanding is exhausting. It requires you to predict every outcome, calculate every risk, anticipate every threat. Surrender says, "I release the illusion of control." And when control is released, something profound happens. You begin to realize that you were never holding everything together in the first place. God was. The job you lost did not define you. The relationship that ended did not secure you. The approval you chased did not protect you. Psalm 121 says, "He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber." While you were overthinking, God was watching. While you were afraid, God was guarding. While you were trying to fix everything, God was already ahead of you. The collapse felt dangerous because it exposed how much you relied on what was temporary. But surrender exposes something deeper. Your safety was never in those things. It was in Him. When you surrender, you stop interpreting every loss as abandonment. You begin to see it as redirection. Redirection toward truth, redirection toward alignment, redirection toward your higher calling. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." The presence of fear does not mean the absence of God. It means you are being invited to trust more deeply. You are safe even when you do not understand. Surrender feels like falling backward into the unknown, but spiritually, it is falling into the hands of God, and His hands are steady. You were never meant to build your life on constant vigilance. You were never meant to live in emotional tension. You were never meant to carry the weight of everyone's expectations while silencing your own awakening. The dark night of the soul strips away what feels secure so you can discover what is unshakable. Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. All things, even collapse, even confusion, even the seasons that feel like spiritual isolation. Your awakening is not a mistake. Your separation is not rejection. Your collapse is not destruction. It is preparation. Soul awakening speaks to the chosen ones who feel different because they are being elevated. To the souls who sense that God is reconstructing them beneath the surface. To the hearts that feel wounded but are being refined. You are not unprotected. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are being guided. When you surrender, your nervous system begins to calm. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts become clearer. Because deep down, your spirit recognizes truth. You are safe in God's hands. Let go. Trust. Release the timeline. Release the fear. Release the pressure to understand everything immediately. God is working in silence. Topic 3. Trust. When everything shakes but you remain protected. There is something that happens during spiritual awakening that most people misunderstand. When everything begins to shake, you assume you are unsafe. When people leave, when plans collapse, when stability dissolves, your mind interprets it as danger. But what if the shaking is not a sign of vulnerability? What if it is proof that God is removing what cannot protect you? Trust is born in moments like this. Psalm 125 says, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endures forever." Notice the contrast. Everything around you may shake, but the one who trusts becomes unshaken. The storm is external. Your safety is internal. Right now, your life may feel unpredictable. You may feel like you are standing in uncertainty with no clear direction. But uncertainty is not the absence of protection. It is the space where trust is strengthened. Jeremiah 17:8 says that the one who trusts in the Lord is like a tree planted by water, whose roots go deep and do not fear when heat comes. The heat still comes. The drought still appears. But the roots remain anchored. Your awakening is deepening your roots. You are learning that safety is not found in predictable outcomes. It is found in divine presence, not in controlling circumstances, but in trusting the one who governs them. For so long, you believed safety meant stability. But stability built on temporary foundations is fragile. True security comes when your identity is anchored in something eternal, and that eternal foundation is God. When your life began collapsing, it exposed what you were leaning on: approval, comfort, routine, control. And when those things were removed, fear rushed in. But fear does not mean you are in danger. It means your trust is being invited to grow. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." Fear may knock, but it is not your identity. You were chosen. You were separated. You were called to walk a different path. And different paths require deeper trust. Soul awakening speaks to those who feel like outsiders in their own lives, to those who sense that something sacred is unfolding behind the chaos, to those who feel spiritually exposed but are actually spiritually protected. You are not falling apart. You are being fortified. You are not unprotected. You are being covered. Trust changes your posture. Instead of panicking, you pause. Instead of spiraling, you breathe. Instead of assuming abandonment, you recognize alignment. The collapse is not proof of danger. It is proof of transition, and transition feels unstable before it feels secure. But even now, even in this exact moment, you are safe in the hands of God. Nothing that left could override his protection. Nothing that changed could cancel his purpose. Nothing that collapsed could dismantle his covering. Trust that. Topic 4. Peace. When you realize you were never in danger, there comes a quiet turning point in your awakening when something inside you shifts. The circumstances may not have fully changed. The unanswered questions may still exist. The future may still look unclear, but your internal atmosphere begins to soften. You are no longer reacting with panic. You are no longer interpreting every shift as threat. You are no longer bracing for impact. That is peace emerging. Peace is not denial. It is revelation. It is the moment you understand that although everything around you felt unstable, you were never truly in danger. John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." The world defines peace as control, predictability, and visible security, but God defines peace as presence. Presence means you are not alone in the shaking. Presence means protection does not disappear just because circumstances change. Presence means that even when structures fall, your foundation remains intact. For a long time, you equated activity with safety. You thought that as long as you were doing, fixing, anticipating, planning, you could prevent collapse. But collapse came anyway. And in that collapse, You discovered something deeper. You survived. Not because you were strong enough to control everything, but because God was holding you through everything. Psalm 4:8 says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." Safety is not something you manufacture. It is something you inhabit when you trust. You were never meant to live in constant emotional defense. You were never meant to scan every situation for danger. You were never meant to carry the burden of predicting every outcome. Peace begins when you release hypervigilance, when you stop assuming that every ending is a threat, when you stop believing that every unknown is danger, when you stop equating silence with abandonment. The dark night of the soul feels terrifying because it removes distractions. It forces you inward. It confronts your attachments. It reveals your fears, but it also reveals your resilience. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still covered. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." Perfect peace is not perfection of life, it is steadiness of trust, and your trust is growing. Soul awakening exists for this exact moment, for the chosen ones who feel exposed but are actually protected, for the souls who feel isolated but are being strengthened, for those walking through collapse only to discover divine security. You are not unguarded. You are not forgotten. You are not vulnerable beyond protection. You are safe in the hands of God. Peace is the confirmation that surrender worked. Peace is the evidence that trust is deepening. Peace is the sign that your foundation is shifting from temporary to eternal. You are not collapsing. You are stabilizing at a higher level of faith. Topic 5. Safe in His hands, the security that awakening reveals. There is a moment after the shaking, after the surrender, after the fear begins to quiet down, when you finally understand something powerful. You were never alone. What felt like collapse was not abandonment. What felt like danger was not exposure. What felt like everything falling apart was actually God removing what could not carry your calling. And now you can see it. You are still standing. You are still breathing. You are still guided. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." That promise did not expire when your circumstances changed. It did not weaken when relationships ended. It did not disappear when plans collapsed. You were always safe in His hands. The awakening process strips you of false security so you can discover real security. It removes dependence on people so you can depend on God. It dismantles illusions so you can stand on truth. And truth is unshakable. When you look back at the chaos, you will realize that what left your life was not your protection, it was your distraction. It was the temporary layer covering the deeper work God wanted to do in you. You were being reconstructed. 2 Thessalonians 3:3 says, "But the Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." Faithfulness means consistency. It means that even when you doubted, God did not. Even when you felt unstable, He remained steady. Your fear did not cancel His covering. Your confusion did not remove His hand. Your collapse did not override His plan. Soul awakening speaks to those who feel different because they are spiritually sensitive. To those who feel isolated because they are being refined. To those who sense that something sacred is unfolding beneath visible instability. You were chosen for depth. You were chosen for awareness. You were chosen for awakening. And awakening does not destroy you, it anchors you. Now let us pray together. Lord, I release the fear that has been living in my body. I release the anxiety that tells me I am unsafe. I surrender the need to control every outcome. Remind my heart that I am protected in your hands. Heal the silent wounds. Restore emotional security. Rebuild my trust. Let peace replace panic. Let confidence replace fear. Let my soul rest, knowing that you are working in silence for my good. As you breathe right now, understand this. You are not exposed. You are not abandoned. You are not in danger. You are safe in the hands of God. And if this message resonated with your journey, stay connected. Like this video, so it reaches another soul who feels unstable but is actually protected. Comment "safe" as a declaration of faith. Subscribe to Soul Awakening and activate the notification bell so you continue walking this path of peace, surrender, and trust with us. This awakening is not random. You are not lost. God is rebuilding you, and you are safe.